Hello, everyone. It is me. I am in Nerd Politics, also known as Colson Kaufman, and it has been a while. I want to say that it's been at least a couple of weeks since I've last uploaded. If you saw in my last video, I went in and I talked about an update to this channel. I will be doing iceberg related content, but still around the idea of politics. I'm not going to give too much insight as to what it is. If you want to go watch that video, you can. I'll leave the link for that video in the description down below as well. But I'm getting back into updating you all on some 2024 election stuff. And I mean, for the past month that I really haven't posted any of these types of videos, we've gotten a lot of information, which is quite surprising and, just a huge win for many of the contestants, and for Biden, a giant loss like usual. Currently, I'm going to use the 270 data because I use Emerson College too every now and then. But I went on there and I didn't see as many stats as I thought I would. So today I'm using 270towin.com for the current stats on each state and where the candidates stand. If you see right now, there are three candidates up here, which is, unusual for terms of an election. But I believe that, Donald Trump is the primary contestant to run against Joseph Biden here, and will do so successfully. All of his other contenders, DeSantis, Nikki Haley recently dropped, and a couple other people, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, they all dropped, and now Donald Trump is here to win nomination for President of the United States once again. This will be a historical moment that has never been seen for the past 100 plus years since Grover Cleveland. And this election is also very special because we get a Kennedy in the race. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Is without a doubt the candidate that will win the third party ability to go up against both candidates. Colonel West, just isn't very favorable in the independent party. The Kennedys have always been strong in the political field. And this is why that makes it so much more special. And Robert F. Kennedy, I believe, I saw his video on the his idea of the state union idea, State of the Union talk, and how Joe Biden really just completely failed. I mean, Joe Biden was yelling at the top of his lungs saying, "Oh, you didn't like that, Republicans?" And the Republicans he was talking to were not even Republicans, because if you say Mitt Romney or any one of them are Republicans, you're not a Republican. You're a Nikki Haley supporter. You're a liberal failing to at least somewhat look innocent to the Republican Party. You were not of the Republican Party. And but we know that 2 minutes into this speech of him, going at the State of the Union with this script that's probably somewhere in the room, he's going perfectly fine. He's going strong based off of what people want to think is good in the United States right now. After those 2 minutes, no, he just messes up everything he says. You can't say any word, not just a sentence, just any word correctly. And it just was embarrassing for a State of the Union. And it's, he does a State of the Union every year, and every year he screws up worse than every year prior. It's, it's really bad. But there's also some really good news about Donald Trump. All the 6 cases were dropped from Donald Trump. He is no longer in this court case situation and never needed to be in the first place, but he's been dropped of all these charges. So that is a big thumbs up. We also have some thumbs up news that he is going better in a direction for the United States for a landslide here. He's also gained a state which hasn't been a Republican state for 30 plus years. But these three contestants, I should say, are probably more important than in the 1992 and 1996 elections with, Ross Perot, a very influential independent candidate who got a huge vote, and with the Kennedys especially, will also get a lot of votes as well, especially in more younger Gen Z, millennial, and even Gen X, um, you know, people out here, uh, which is really good too to put into the mix here. And I believe, Robert F. Kennedy is not going to win this election. No independent candidate, I don't think, strongly enough, unless it's Donald Trump or someone of Donald Trump, couldn't win in an independent party. I don't think it's possible. But I do believe Robert F. Kennedy will benefit Donald Trump more than, Biden, because if Kennedy were to benefit Biden, he would simply not be running. He would wait 4 more years. But he already sees that Biden's a complete mess up. Now, he doesn't agree with Trump necessarily either, but, being he's in a third party basis, it seems a lot more likely that he's going to agree with Trump than anyone else. But I have the stats pulled up here, so I will get right to it. Starting with Donald Trump, currently has a 13% lead in Florida. Florida, I want to say, has always been one of those states that has, been so like, ooh, it's going to be a close one. In the early 2000s, George W. Bush only won Florida by 100 popular votes, which is very slim considering the population of Florida at the time had to have been around 9 or 10 million. So and after that, even in both Obama, his first and second term, he won Florida by at least 8 or 9%. So it was always kind of this Democrat then Republican. It was always kind of a switch back and forth state. But over the years since 2016, it has seen more and more that they're sick and tired of these Democrats corrupting them down there, and especially everywhere else in the United States right now. So Donald Trump, is taking a lead here in Florida. In Ohio, he is currently at 10.3%. This side of the United States, from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Pennsylvania are probably, and maybe some of Iowa, but I'm not going to count on it. But this area right here is probably the most influential. It's probably the most biggest way you can win an election. If you can win what was called the blue wall, because in Obama's 2 terms, he absolutely blew out the blue wall, except for Indiana in the second term in 2012. But even then, all these states here were predominantly Democrat. And over the years, it has seen that these states are not wanting to be Democrat anymore. They've seen the truth. They've seen that Joe Biden is the biggest mistake as not just a president, but is just a politician or a human being to even step foot into the political offices. It's really sad, and all these people can now see with their eyes wide open that this is a problem. And as I get through the stats here, you're going to see more and more that there is no blue wall anymore. It's a red wall. It's this red wall of states, and the red wall will easily make this election better for Donald Trump if he can win these states. He did in 2016. He won all 3 states here, but it was by very close margin. But I have a feeling now he can win these states almost easily with, no troubles ahead of him. And with that, Michigan currently is at a 2.8%, and my computer is going to die. That is not good. I would rather my computer did not die on me. But we're at a 2.8% right now in Michigan on these stats, and it could be higher in later dates and points. Currently, we're only 8 months away from this election, and I have to say this, if all you really need to win in an election is majority of the West here, including Nevada. I will get to Nevada. It's a very important state for Democrats and Republicans. 6 electoral points may not look alike or look a lot, but 6 could sometimes win it all for you. You also have to win these island states, as well, like Alaska or Hawaii. But winning in the East will almost guarantee you success in winning the election. And in Nevada, currently we're seeing a 5.7% lead for Donald Trump. This is also huge because Nevada has not, voted for a Republican president here. 2016, I believe they did vote for Donald Trump, but again, that was 8 years ago now. So it's been a while. Pennsylvania currently at 4%. Arizona, which ran in 2020, and Joe Biden won, but it was by very slight numbers, and I have to think it's almost rigged in that sense. Is currently at a He's currently at a 4.3%. So a lot of Spanish, a lot of Mexican Americans and Latinos out there are coming in here. The Democrats are expecting them to vote for Democrats because they figure, oh, if we let them in here, as long as you vote for us, then it's good. But the Democrats are now realizing that they're coming in here wanting America to be great again, not be the same mess it is. So you see that these people here, no matter the race they are coming in here and are saying, screw this guy, he doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. And they're voting for Trump. So now they want to get rid of him, but they can't now, right? There's all these issues on immigration here and how there's too many of them. And now they all just want to vote for Trump. And I completely support them that. In Georgia, which was turned Democrat in 2020, but falsely, we all know, was rigged here, but is at a 4.3% for Donald Trump. It is looking very good. It's, you got these states are here, and you got, the South starting to go up, and even the far West here going, all goody good. In North Carolina, a 5% lead for Donald Trump. That is, really good. It's really good over there. In Alaska, a 12% lead for Donald Trump. Indiana, a 21% chance. I'd say almost guaranteed to win Indiana here. And in Minnesota, currently it's, in the prior election, 2020, Minnesota was voting for Biden at around 10%. And, even before that, it was even higher margins. And as I've said, Minnesota hasn't been a Republican state, since the 1980s, since the Reagan era. And even before that, actually, I should say the 1970s during the Carter era, or even the Ford administration. It hasn't been a Republican state since the 70s, but is currently barely holding on at 4% here. And I do believe Donald Trump has a chance, at getting Minnesota. It wouldn't come to me as a surprise currently with, how shit this ecosystem is, and how this economic system here is in America, and how the political system is here in America. It just wouldn't surprise me. But it is good to see that the mid section of the United States, especially the East here, they're saying, this guy he's gone. He's absolutely gone. And here, Montana currently at a 21%. I think most of the West here is guaranteed of being Republican. I'd say Iowa is guaranteed Republican. It says 12% on here, but after the Iowa caucus, the primaries, he won again, 98 or 99 of the counties here out of, 100 or something of them. There was a lot that he won. So I have a feeling Iowa's big and huge in being a more predominant Republican state here, which is great. Currently, California is at 22%, as said by 270 to win.com. I have a feeling that from 2020, I think he won this still by over 30%, and to see it at 22% shows that, yeah, California is sick of, the state basically falling apart into this socialistic aspect, similar to socialist China right now. And it's just, I think Californians are getting sick and tired of seeing all the fall with Gavin Newsom just controlling the people to gain whatever he can out of them. I mean, have you seen San Francisco? You can't even walk there. You have to have a hovering car so you don't step. You have to be hovering somehow so you don't step in human crap. It's so bad down there. In Texas, currently with a 7% lead here, I don't think Texas is going to turn Democrat. I have a higher feeling that it'll still stay Republican for a very long time. Most of the West has proven it. I'd say Texas is the new West. I'd say, or the new South. You could say new West, but you could also say new South. But I still think Texas is going to be a Republican state. So, And Wisconsin, currently with a 3.5% lead. The red wall, there is just no more red wall. What I consider a red wall is Minnesota here, Illinois, you know, uh, Virginia, West Virginia, and a bit of Maryland to be that. And it's just falling apart. There is just no more of it. And currently, there is a state at change here, which I didn't think was possible. Maine, the state of Maine, is 6% currently for Donald Trump. The first district is at 8% for Joe Biden here. And the state of Maine itself has turned Republican with a 20% lead here. That is, to me, insane that Maine is most likely going to be Republican. It hasn't been Republican for around 30 plus years, and to see it just switch on us like that is incredible, to say the least. New York, currently at a 12%. I mean, seriously, 12%. In the 2020 election alone, it was at 20%, maybe a little bit higher. So it's lost about 10% of its Democrats. If we can get New York to be a Republican state, I will dance in any manner that is more cringy than another. I will do literally anything. But it's crazy. Currently, Donald Trump's South Carolina at 16.5%. Amazing, amazing right now. Washington, Washington in the 2020 election was around 22% and is now at 16%. Kind of sad, kind of sad. Maryland is at a 23%, so still holding on there. This kind of caught me off guard. Colorado is going more Republican. Colorado is shown at 4% right now. Yeah, my home state is saying screw these Republicans. Or sorry, screw. They were saying screw these Republicans. Screw these Democrats. And for a long talk that I've had in my videos is that oh, are they going to kick them off the ballot? Well, they haven't said anything, and I don't think they're going to. And currently, Colorado's people, not so much its government here, but the people are saying, screw this. Why do we want these Democrats that come in from California and New York? Why do we want that? Just let us be us. And that's what they're doing. And it's amazing to see that, Colorado is going in this Republican direction, which they did back in the early 2000s with George W. Bush. And, they hadn't been Republican after, the 2008 elections. So it's good to see them come back in that direction. Currently, Massachusetts is at a 19%. So it's not surprising to see that the East over here is still Democrat. That's, no shocker by any means. Donald Trump is still 10% in Utah. And Utah's been one of those states that has morally wanted to vote for an independent candidate, which Robert F. Kennedy has done a great job here in doing so. But I still think Utah is guaranteed to be more Republican, and especially with the help of RFK Jr., will push more Republicans into Utah as well. Missouri is currently at 17% for Donald Trump here, looking very good. South Dakota with its 29%. Nebraska with its 22%. The first district with 18%, looking really good. The second district with its 6%. And currently the third district, which will ultimately make the win for Nebraska, at 34%. New Hampshire has switched to being a Democratic state. New Hampshire has been one of those states. Vermont and New Hampshire have always been those, like, maybe I'm going to be Republican, maybe I'm going to be Democrat, I don't know. And it seems this time, at a 7% lead for Biden is a Democratic state here. Virginia is barely holding on for Democratic votes here, 6%. I mean, literally, in the 2020 election, this was at a 14%. They've almost lost 10% in Virginia, and Virginia's, about to say, what, we're done. I want these, Republicans back. Tennessee currently at a 32% for Donald Trump. Wyoming, the biggest Republican state here, at a 53% for Donald Trump. Arkansas, 33% for Donald Trump. Illinois, which in the 2020 election has been always kind of like at 15, 16% for Biden. It was in the 2020 election, and even under the Obama administration, it was even at 25, 26%, but is now only holding for Joe Biden at 9%. Nine, guys. I mean, not even double digits. This just shows you that there really isn't a blue wall anymore. It's falling. It's falling to keep up. North Dakota at 37%. We're almost at, a 270 win easily with anything. Here, West Virginia, the second biggest Republican state, here at 36%, and Kansas at a 16%. That is 273, 172. So Donald Trump's already won this election, but there's still states to go here. Idaho at a 29%. Oklahoma at 28% for Donald Trump. Kentucky at 29%. It still goes on. New Mexico is higher than Colorado, but is at 8%, meaning that, both these states, they're kind of getting sick of Biden. I think, both of these states were in double digits when they voted for him in 2020. And now it's no more. It's no more. And we still have these states here, and we got a couple of states up here. So this thing just resetted. So let me get back to it here. Currently, Oregon is at a 7%, which is kind of weird for Oregon to be so low. I think it's a little bit odd, but, not a shocker with the Biden administration failing to keep up. I still think this little side here will always kind of be Democrat. I think we could say that in general. Currently, Hawaii has no stats, but based off of 2020 when they won it by 7%, Joe Biden's still not like there. I'm going to say about 6 or 5% in Hawaii, but Donald Trump's not like there either. I think Hawaii's better off kind of on its own, like we should have left it. I mean, all we use it for is sugar and naval base, and that's pretty much about it. And then let tourists ride free in there. That's kind of all the state is. So, but it's always been big on more independent governors and, politicians, especially. And as I look here, currently there's no stats for New Jersey, but in 2020 elected Joe Biden at 10%. I'm going to say that's probably at 8% now. So a lot lower, but still most likely to vote for Joe Biden here. Delaware, almost guaranteed. It's his home state. I can almost guarantee it. Vermont is looking at is it 9% for Joe Biden. Connecticut is at 20%. Rhode Island, 21% guaranteed here. DC, I'd have to say automatic Democratic state. There's no stats for it, but I would have to say automatic Democrat state. Currently, Alabama is at 27% for Donald Trump here. In Mississippi is at 19% for Donald Trump. And in Louisiana is at 19%. So what we're looking at here is he's gained 3 more electoral points thanks to Maine over here, which is a shocking surprise. But we're looking at a giant landslide here for Donald Trump, nevertheless. A 315-223 election. Joe Biden will lose. RFK is going to be here. I'm going to leave him there because he's not going to win a state. He might, maybe, slight chance, 1% chance, but he's still not going to win. But he is going to be more influential as the time goes on. But that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, like and subscribe. And let me know what else you want me to talk about. But otherwise, I'll be updating you as much as I can on the 2024 election. And until then, I will see you all in the next video. God bless you. God bless the United States. And that's about it. See ya.